I have a little story I'd like to share about meeting people where they are. For me, this goes back a couple decades. And uh, this is my first story about meeting people where they're at. And um, this was in the age of No Child Left Behind. And I was charged with leading a room of education leaders on looking at their standardized assessment results for the entire district, as well as all of their buildings. And I had an entire PowerPoint deck with bar graphs and charts and all kinds of information that I was really excited to share with them. I had a dashboard, which in 2003 was really unheard of. So there was a lot of innovation I was looking forward to sharing with this room of educators who predominantly were EDDs, PhDs, and I most certainly was not, but I certainly was taking all of that intellectual capital in the room into account and knew that I had to get off and running with my presentation to keep their attention. So everybody in the room had a ThinkPad, IBM ThinkPad. The whole room was littered with them. It was their district board room. And so there were probably 75 education leaders, very highly esteemed in the work that they do, with IBM ThinkPads in front of them. And I had a presentation screen behind me with my PowerPoint, and I probably even had my first graph, or perhaps even just the login. So I'd like you all to log in to this dashboard, and we're going to walk through. I'm going to show you how you can get to each of these dashboards and sink into this fantastic information I know you've been waiting for. And I look around the room, and the room is puzzled and it's silent, and there's hush, and now there's whispering. Confusion clearly across 75% of the faces in the room. I'm one person, they are 75. And at this time, we were all packed into this small conference room. And I say this because it was very difficult to get to each one of them. What I came to learn is that none of them knew how to navigate the ThinkPad, because none of them knew where the mouse was. The 75% of the people who were staring at me quizzically did not know how to get to the website because they couldn't find the mouse. I hadn't provided them with a mouse attached to their computer. My first example of meeting people where they're at. My first walkthrough was not logging them into the website with the dashboard. My first walkthrough was demonstrating for all of them. I happen to prefer the eraser-like little red nudgy thing in the middle of the keyboard. That was the one I preferred. So I told everybody to look for the eraser in the middle of the keyboard. That's your mouse. Well, you can imagine to the folks who are accustomed to something, that looks quite a bit different than a red eraser. The trackball, the red eraser was not a mouse. At any rate, that's my story about meeting people where they're at. They were not at all ready to log in because they didn't even know how to use the tools that they had available to them to get there. That's why it's so important to first gauge and understand the people you're going to work with. You need to support and empower. That's how you do it. You support them by giving them the confidence to be where they're at, and empower them and give them the courage to evolve. 2 steps: supporting them, meeting them where they're at, let them know it's okay to be where you are, and then empower them with the skills and the knowledge to evolve. right? And that will give them the courage that they need